How pronunciation makes English too difficult for Bangalees. Ba'idaraman. If we compare English in terms of listening skill with Bangla and probably most of the languages, what we can realize is that listening skill in English is much more difficult and complex than probably all the other languages. Imagine an English who is practicing Bangla and has already developed somewhat listening skill, can equally understand someone's speech as a part of dialogue, news presentation, music, songs, a lecture, a talk about religion, sports, diseases, an expression of satisfaction, dissatisfaction, failure or success. It is so mostly because the pronunciation of every word in these different situations is almost the same and the speed is also relatively the same. At the same time, there is no form of contraction. Moreover, the difference between formal and informal Bangla in conversation is almost the same whether it is a song, news presentation, dialogue in a drama or a quarrel among people. On the other hand, look at the same situation where the pronunciation, the speed and especially the informal English vary from situation to situation. An English learner finds pronunciation easy in news presentation, but the structure and the choice of words make him fail to understand the news. He will find difficulty in understanding a dialogue in a drama or conversation because the pronunciation will be very condensed and contracted, and even the speed will be too fast. If he watches a film, he will find the pronunciation too tricky and contracted. I can't, I won't, I've, I'd, and the dialogue's so fast, and above all. Now consider English music, whether it is rock and roll or hard or soft, the pronunciation will be too tricky, muttering in pronunciation mixed with music and the use of contraction and informal language structure mixed with slangs. No matter how much he is proficient in listening to news, watching dramas or films, he will be unable to understand most of the English music. He will also face trouble because of the differences between British, American and Australian English in pronunciation, spelling, vocabulary and structures. Look at the following part of a dialogue while leaving a partner in American English. I have got to go. Without contraction. I've got to go. With contraction and in colloquial form. I gotta go. Final written form. What is even more interesting is the pronunciation of gotta. American people pronounce t as t and even sometimes t is pronounced as r. Correct pronunciation is a skill which can only be acquired if practiced constantly, intensively and extensively. But how much practical is it to give so much time only for pronunciation when the general proficiency in English is unacceptably low, particularly in Bangladesh? For example, C is very tricky in terms of pronunciation and spelling. Sometimes it is pronounced like in Bangla ca, cha, sa, sha, and ka. Moreover, Bangla is syllabus timed but English is stress timed. It makes English more difficult and complex. For example, Saddam, Bangla, Saddam, English, Sadam, midday, midday. Now I would like to tell a story. An Englishman just after finishing teaching English in Japan was visiting Rajshahi and happened to meet me. We became friends and spent 8 days together. Once we were talking about fruits and I asked him whether lychee, pronounced lychee, is available in England or not. He tried to recognize it but failed. I tried to explain it is almost round and a little bigger than a grape, it is green but gets reddish when it is ripe, you can peel off and have the juicy and tasty kernel, homophone, kernel, and then you will see a seed either smaller or bigger, the smaller the tastier. Still he could not trace it. As we were walking we came across the depot, T is silent like T in debut and go. Of different fruits including licorice. He saw licorice and shouted with exclamation, "Hey Chad, you are talking about lychee, licorice. Licorice are available in England in abundance and they are absolutely tasty. Oh, I'm sorry, Chad, I couldn't get you." Another such story as follows: when I had been working with American Eric Nipper, one interesting thing happened. We were going for snacks by a rickshaw, tricycle, and he asked what I would do after this short-term project. I answered I would go back to my previous job. Then he said, "Do you know, Chad? I'll be Bakar, comma." Then I could not get it. The Londoner kept saying, "Why don't you understand? This is a Bangla word." Sometime later I realized it was Bakar, jobless / The writer is Assistant Professor of English and Director, Language Center, University of Information Technology and Sciences, UITS. Published in Morning Tea of the Daily Sun on the 28th of June 2018. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.